This took longer than I wanted it to. Sorry, it's been a while. I had a lot more to say about this chapter than I thought. Here's how Mikey looks like in this chapter. s://at.tumblr.com/error-code 400/so-I-came-up- with -idea-for -a-separated-aware/ZKTZ14ZV106R. I post a lot about him, not Tumblr, that's all. Enjoy. Updated April 18, 2023. Chapter text. The air was chill when he stepped out of the portal. It's been about 14 hours, maybe even a day, since the lab explosion. Michelangelo wasn't sure. The sun was finally setting, so perhaps it has been a day. Also, with the sun setting, walking around should be more accessible. Michelangelo took his time to take in his view. He always imagined his first time on the surface to be magical. Perhaps even an army of other mutants behind him ready to abolish the human race. But now that he was there, he has to admit it was kinda underwhelming. He was in an abandoned construction site. Sure, it wasn't exactly how he imagined it, but it was something other than the lights of the hidden city. He looks down at the sand of the construction site, seeing some traces of footprints. He bends down to inspect further. They must have been a day old by the looks of how faded they were. This could be useful, he tells himself. There were 4 sets of footprints. One was human, but the others were similar to his own. One, at least twice as large as his own. Probably 6 feet tall if he had to guess. The other 2 were big, but not as tall as the other. The prints seemed to run toward the buildings. He follows the prints and silently thanked Titan that the construction site was abandoned, or the prints would have been destroyed. As he approached the building, the trail ended. He sighed. Of course, they would lead to a coal trail. Why must humans insist on building metal mountains? He asked himself. There's gotta be a way to track them. He looked around, and then took notice of the bag at his side that he forgot he had been carrying. An idea popped on his head. He sat down on the hard concrete floor of the building, and begins to look through it. He saw the mask and a Ninjario, the outfit Draxum had given him, before putting it off to the side for later, and continued to look for the small crystal from earlier. Bingo, he said to himself, finding the crystal the gargoyles had given him. He sat down on a ledge of the building, and stared at the magic crystal. How does this thing work again, he thought. He used to use these all the time when he worked with Big Mama. Why is he going blank now? Here, take this, she turned, handing the small turtle a glass to share. He looked at it, wondering why the spider lady had just handed him what looks like trash. I'm sorry, Big Mama, but what is this? He asked her. It's not surprising that goat has left me to teach you this, she said, making a few dramatic hand gestures. This is a communication and tracking crystal. Look, she said as she pulls his hand with the crystal in it close to her face, and whispers something in it. Michelangelo hears a whoosh come from his hand. Big Mama lets go of his hand, allowing him to look. Looking into the crystal, he sees that Big Mama has appeared there, and it seemed to be showing real time where she was. The 12-year-old was amazed by the magic. Her face disappears in a swirl. Through this, you will be able to contact me or anyone on the staff. All you have to do is say their name or imagine what they look like, Big Mama said as she made her way to her desk. He stares at the shard and as he asks a question. You said it could locate things too. Yes, it can help you look for your targets. The same rules apply, she said as she took her seat at her desk. He puts the magical device in his pocket as he waited for further instructions. We'll now hurry off. The guards will give you more info about the target, she said, waving him off. He begins to turn around and walk to the elevator of Big Mama's office. But as he was about to exit, Big Mama interrupted him. Oh, an angel. She cooed, don't fail me. It would be a shame if you were back in there so soon, she continued. His back shuddered at the thought of returning. Don't worry, Mama. I won't fail you ever again. It worked, he shouted on the roof, pumping his fist into the air excitingly. He held the same shared from before. This time an image appeared showing 3 turtles. They were exiting the sewers, so they travel by the sewers, he said, completely forgetting he was alone. Okay. Now that I located them, I'll just need a good cover so I won't be spotted. He looks over at the outfit from before. Without a second thought, he puts it on. The outfit fit perfectly, no doubt his father had a Big Mama tailor it to fit him perfectly. He looked at the mask and chuckled a bit. Of course, his mask bore a resemblance to his father. It was on brand for him. He puts it on, tightening the strap to make sure it won't come to loose. And with that, he was off. Origami tsunami. Origami tsunami. What kind of weirdo steals paper? Raph exclaims as Donnie looks into the New York's paper store's location. I mean, why not a jewelry store? Or a bank? He continued, not understanding why someone would rob a paper store. There's only one store they haven't hit yet, and it is right over there. Oh, convenient. Donnie said, completely ignoring his brother's question. How about we go stealth and make them wish they stole toilet paper? Raph says as the twins look at him. They all grin and laugh at Ralph's joke before leaping off the building. They catch themselves on the side of the wall, watching the two weirdly sync-colored men load paper into a white van. Those must be the paper thieves, Raph whispered. So what's the plan, Fearless Leo asked. Raph looked above to see Leo had landed in a similar position as him. Okay, here's what we're going to do. Raph was interrupted by something hard landing on his shell. Felt like a small rock, but it caused him to lose his balance and fall below. Leo and Donnie both jumped down to check up on Raph. Luckily for him, the trash below caught his fall. He looks up to see the paper thieves have taken notice of them and were making a run for it. Donnie go left, Leo go right. I'll head to the roof and swoop down like a boss, Raph said as they all took off. As Raph was climbing the roof, he couldn't help but get the feeling of being watched. He approached the ledge and looked down below. Both Donnie and Leo were almost in position. Perfect, he thinks as he gets ready to jump off the ledge. He gave one last look around the roof, making sure he wasn't being watched. See, Raph, nothing to worry about, he said to himself. With that, he jumped off the ledge and shouted, swapping like a boss. Donnie's gifts. Oh, I'm so glad you like them, Donnie shouted with glee before turning to his tablet on his wrist. Now let me show you how they work, he continued. But just as Don was about to show them how the devices worked, the three boys heard a squeal from an alleyway not too far. What was that? Raph exclaimed, running toward the sound. Donnie and Leo both followed him close behind. They peeked over to the alleyway where the sound was coming from to see what looked like a pig mutant. Another mutant? Leo said. What's his deal? The pig proceeded to bag the silverfish mutants from before. You know what, that guy looks like the meat sweats, Raph said, laughing at his joke with Leo. Donnie stood unamused, still watching the pig as they struggled to fit into the manhole. All right, boys, let's investigate further, Raph said as he approached the hole. They all headed down into the sewers, following the now meat sweats from a comfortable distance. Donnie closed the entrance with the cover before joining his brothers. Just as he was about to join them, he heard the cover being lifted and then put back as if someone had entered the sewers just behind them. He turns around to see the ladder empty. But that didn't make sense. He knows that he heard something. He reaches to put it on his goggles. Maybe there's something I can't see, he thinks. Hurry up, we're going to lose him. He hears his twin call out for him. Donnie looks to see just how far they have gotten and turns to catch up with the others, but not before looking back to see if the person was there. Of course, no one. Newsworthy. Okay, well, since the hippo in the room has been taken care of, can I get out of this suit? It has Raph stink, Leo said, taking off the rest of the hippo suit. You didn't win. I was the one who defeated him, cried the worm man. Leo looked towards the floor, seeing that he may have landed on the stranger. And you are? Leo asked, not knowing who the worm was. The worm just slumped his shoulders in defeat. Come on, Leo, we don't have time for this. Let's roll, boys, Raph said, already heading to exit the TV station, with Donnie in pursuit. Leo looks back to where the worm used to be, seeing that he was crawling away as well. You turtles will regret this. I will have my revenge, for I am Warren Stone, your greatest nemesis, he shouted before officially leaving. Leo rolled his eyes. Great, more villains to fight. He thought of putting his Audichi resting on his shoulders. A paper then flies in his face. Leo scurries to get it off. What the? He said, looking at the paper that blew into his face. Hello, Alberto's land, he said to the air. He smirked, stuffing the paper into his pocket before running to catch up with his brothers. One day for fun, that's exactly what they needed, Leo thought as he rejoined his brothers. I think we have all the info we need. Michelangelo looked up at his father's claim. I suggest you make a move soon, specifically when they have their guard down. Then take the weapons back, he continued. But don't you want them captured? Michelangelo asked. That is precisely why you will only square their weaponry. So we may capture them at a later time, Draxum said. But why not now? From what I have seen, they are untrained buffoons, never really defeating the enemy. We know I can take. Michelangelo started. That's quite enough, Draxum interrupted him. You will follow through with this plan, and only retrieve their weapons, he said to him sternly, causing the teen to straighten out his posture. Understood, Lord Draxum. I apologize for my outburst, he said in a lower tone than earlier. Good. Now get ready, it is almost night out on the surface. Draxum walked away as the teen only stood there. April, why are we at Alberto's land? Raph asked as April was practically pulling him towards the entrance. Well, with all the crazy mutant attacks going on, Leo figured we needed a break, she said, approaching the entrance to the amusement park. Okay, then we're Leo and Donnie, shouldn't we wait for them? He asked, passing through the many small fair games. Oh, they are already waiting for us by the fountain, she replied, pointing straight ahead. She waved at Leo, who was standing next to Donnie. Hey, what took you guys so long? He shouted as the two were approaching. I was about to portal you here myself, he continued. Yeah, right, Leo. I'd like to see you try, she replied teasingly. I'm sorry, are you even tall enough to ride here? Leo said, giving her the same energy back. You're going to take that back when I school you in bumper cars, she responded to Leo's teasing. This continued for a solid minute. Even Donnie joined in the bantering but mainly targeting Leo. Raph tried to intervene to get his question through. Guys, still no response guys. Has Raph turned invisible or something? Guys, seems like that one got their attention. Look, I am all for having fun, but what about the security cameras? How are we going to explain this whole situation? He exclaimed. Raph only revives a chuckle from Donnie. Why, my dearest brother, do you think I would let us enter this park without disabling the security system? He said, showing her small wrist tablet to him. It showed an image of the park with small dots lit up red. Raph felt a little bit of weight lift on his shoulders, only to feel an arm wrapped around his shoulders. He turned to see it was Leo. See, Raph, everything is fine. We got it all under control, Leo said, reassuring his elder brother. Leo let go, walking towards a map of the park. Raph sees that Donnie and April were already heading toward the map as well. Come on, Raph, let's loosen up a bit. Let's just be teens for the day, he said as he approached the map, joining April and Donnie. The snapping turtle was left behind to think about this. I mean, Leo was right. Ever since the Osquitus got loose, it's been mutant after mutant. Guess they did need a break. He started to approach the others, now more comfortable with having this break. Alrighty, then we're heading to first? Raph asked. As he expected, they all pointed to different locations. Okay, let's just head to the arcade first, Raph said to stop the bickering. They all seemed to agree with those terms, and left for the arcade center of the park. They hit up every game, competing to see who can get the highest scores on the machines. The winner would choose where they would go next. When they left, April reigned victory, leading them to bumper cars. There she would exact her revenge on Leo from the joke earlier, just as she had promised. After the tragic fate of Leo, who was bullied for the entirety of their time in bumper cars, Raph got to choose their next attraction. They then went to the Ferris wheel, where they saw some gorgeous city views. Raph always loved the colors that gleamed from the mini towers. They just seemed so majestic to him. Finally, since most of the rides were either boring or out of service, and after the Alberto incident no one was letting Donnie near the rides, they all decided to head to the food court, where they stuffed their faces. They all grab cotton candy before they leave to head to the other side of the park. You know what, Leo, the first hate to admit it, but you were right. This was fun, Raph exclaimed, taking another bite of his pink cotton candy. See guys, this was exactly what we needed. One day where we can just act like teens and trespass on private property. And look, there hasn't been a single villain in sight, Leo exclaimed, receiving a small cheer from April, hyping him up. Almost as if the world heard him, a bright flash of orange appeared, cutting the cotton candy he was holding in half. Leo felt the wind heat his face as it passed by. The bright flash retracts, going back to where it once came from. The group of teens follows it to see its origins. There they see a figure of a small person. He wore a mask that had golden horns with white eye sockets. His outfit was mainly black with more touches of gold. But more curiously, he wore a symbol on his outfit that was the same as the one they drew to get to the hidden city. Oh, you have got to be kidding me. Leo was the first to break the silence. He wasn't too thrilled by the newcomer's appearance. You just had to say something, didn't you, Elio? Donnie exclaimed from behind. Leo only groaned. Okay, look, as much as I appreciate the hero-villain routine, could you just maybe, how do I put this, shove off? Leo said, making a shoving motion with his hands. The figure didn't respond, only getting in position to strike. The rest of them pulled out their own except for April, who was already slipping away from the scene. Alright, goat face, bring it on, but make it quick, we have a roller coaster to ride, Leo exclaimed before charging in. As he approached, he couldn't help but notice how small Goat Face, as he had dubbed him, was in size. He had to be the size of Raph's arm at least. He used his sword and proceeded to strike. Goat Face dogged his blade, landing on Leo's side. Just before he can make another move, Donnie is running at him. Before Donnie can land an attack, Goat Face dodges with ease. Raph charges in with his tonfas to deliver a powerful blow. Or that's what it would have been. Goat Face once again jumped up to avoid the blow, landing on the back of Raph's shell to avoid his blow. He jumps off, pushing Raph forward, causing him to lose his footing. Okay, so this might take a little longer than expected, Leo stated as he stood up. When the Goat Face regains their footing, they readied their weapon, shooting a mighty long chain toward Leo. It coiled around him, tightening, causing him to drop his weapon. The figure used this to their advantage, and used the chains to throw Leo into one of the carnival stands nearby. Elio, Raph cried, looking towards the same carnival stand Leo was just thrown into. Leo in no time crawled out of the debris of the carnival stand, a bit tired, but gave Raph a thumbs up to signal he was fine. Alright bub, No one messes with our brother like that. Except for us, Donnie shouted, turning the end of his tech box into a giant rocket. Both Raph and he charged at the villain. Goatface used what the others assumed as a Fundo from the large ball that was lit on fire. They had sent their weapon flying to a large garbage bin that was nearby. The chain wrapped around the large bin. Goatface uses the bin and throws it at the two turtles. They collided with each other, causing them to lose their weapons. They both collide in the carnival stand next to Leo. Leo had just navigated his way out of the rubble and ran over to help out Donnie and Raph as well. "You guys okay?" he said a bit frantically. Raph lifted a piece of wood from off him, pushing the trash bin off him and Donnie. "Y'all were fine," Raph responded, slowly getting up. "Speak for yourself," Donnie said, rubbing his arm to rid any potential splinters. Raph looks around and a curtain person is missing. "Hey, where's April?" Michelangelo walks over to the discarded weapons, picking up the tonfas and the adachi. He put them away, attaching them to his outfit. His eyes catch the attention of the purple and silver staff. He picks it up, inspecting it. The weapon was man-made. He hadn't seen this kind of machinery before. Then again, Draxum was never one to let him in on his work. He attaches it as well and figures that the more the merrier. He starts to walk away when he hears loud footsteps approaching him fast. April O'Neil. He heard a loud cry from behind, and before he could even react, he was hit with a mallet on his back. "Nice one, April," Raph shouted. The three turtles had rejoined their human companion. When did she get a mallet? He had thought to himself, rubbing his aching shell. He got up, taking out his weapon again. "All right, gang, let's get him," Raph exclaimed. The group charged at him all at once. Michelangelo activated his mystic flames, readying himself for the attacks. He can barely keep up with their blows. The human, he can only assume is named April from her battle cry earlier, was making it extremely difficult to dodge her massive mallet. Leo tries to grab his adachi, but Michelangelo manages to block him. In the moment's distraction, Raph and April both make blows at him. "Hot soup," they cry before sending Michelangelo to a fountain nearby. In the process, Goatface loses the weapons. The three turtles retrieve their weapons. "All right, Leo, it was fun, but I'm calling it. Let's get out of here," Raph spoke out. "What? We didn't even get to ride any of the roller coasters," Leo pouted. "Nope, Raph's had enough fun today," he said as he started to walk towards the exit. "Fine, at least let me try to portal us out of here," he said, already trying to open the portal. "This will be interesting," April said smugly, leaning on her newly acquired mallet. Michelangelo picked himself up from the rubble. He looks ahead to see the blue one open a portal. "Yes, see that?" Leo cried, looking for signs of approval from his family. Yeah, let's go. "I'm feeling hungry," the red one said, walking into the blue portal. Wait, were they leaving? Michelangelo thought to himself. He can't just let them leave, he needs those weapons. He ran to the portal hoping to cut them off, but it was too late. They all had entered, and with that, the portal had shut. Damn it. The group crashed into the floor. The portal had taken them all to the top of the roof of a building. Raph had just about enough of being thrown and slammed into the ground for a day. "That's it, we're walking home," he cried, getting up and pushing his brothers and April off his back in the process. "Hey, at least we don't have to deal with that guy anymore," Leo said, getting up with April and Donnie. "Yeah, what was up with that get up, and why did he want your weapons?" April said while stretching her back. "Perhaps he works for Draxum," Donnie stated as he was sitting up. The group looks at him confused. "What gives you that idea?" Raph asked, wanting an explanation. "Well, on his outfit there was the same symbol from the portal the first time we went to the hidden city. Not to mention he had a magic weapon like you guys. But it's only a theory," Donnie replied. The group wasn't surprised at how Donnie was the first to figure it out. After all, he was the smartest one in the group. "So Draxum is still after us. No matter if we beat him once, we sure can do it again," Raph cheered, boosting his fan morale in the process. "Now, let's head back to the lair and order pizza." The group cheered at the idea and made their way toward the sewers. "You lost them," Draxum cried out, yelling at the teen in front of him. "They got away after they knocked me unconscious for a bit," Michelangelo said back, still bowing down to avoid eye contact. "You have been trained to take down an entire gang of warriors, and you were bested by a small group of teens." He started looking down at his creation. Michelangelo didn't know what to say other than an apology. "I apologize to Lord Draxum. It won't happen again." The teen remained in his position, hoping that his father would let it go. "I know it won't, because you will not be returning to the surface," Draxum replied, his voice seemingly lowered. Now this triggers a reaction. Michelangelo shot up. "What? No, I can do this. Give me one more chance," he cried, hoping to reason with his father. "I'll get the weapons back. Just please allow me to return." "Enough," Draxum yelled out, cutting him off. Michelangelo shut up as his stance stiffened. "My decision is final. You are not ready to do a mission on your own. From now on you will accompany the gargoyles. You will help them make sure nothing happens to my Osquitos. Do you understand? Michelangelo stared down at his feet, not wanting to make eye contact. At least he wasn't going to be stuck down here forever. He tried to reason with himself. He loved the gargoyles, but they were still a servant to his father. They will only keep so much from him. Yes, Lord Draxum, he finally responded. Good, now head to your chamber. I'm sure you've had a long day, Draxum said as he began to walk away. Draxum whispers something to the gargoyles before leaving. Both Munin and Hugin both fly over to Michelangelo. Hey, look, on the bright side, you will still be able to go to the surface, Munin said, trying to comfort the turtle. Michael didn't respond, and just started to walk toward his room. The gargoyles just followed him silently. He was a little angry that he couldn't go on his own. He thought his father trusted him. At least I could still go. He tried to reason with himself again. Yeah, but when I was alone I could do whatever I wanted. Like, the days I couldn't spy on the turtles cause they were hidden, I would spray paint on the wall. For once he didn't make propaganda for Big Mama's battle nexus. I just did what I wanted. He reached his chambers, and turned around to bid good night to the gargoyles. Hey kid, Hugin spoke before he could say anything. Next week Munin and I were going to head to the Nexus Hotel, and watch the battle nexus. You want to tag along? Michelangelo stared blankly as he had seen the battle nexus in a while. It sounded fun. Yeah, that sounds like fun, but what about? He tries to say, but only to get cut off by Hugin. Don't worry about Draxum, he won't know. Besides, we'll tell him we're going to check on the Osquitus. Michelangelo smiled, and nodded his head. Then yeah, I'd love to go with you guys. Good night, he responded. The gargoyle said good night right before he closed the doors. Michelangelo walked over to his bed, and sat there for a bit before collapsing into the mattress. The battle nexus was always a brutal place. He remembers it well. Maybe he'd run into Big Mama again. She was always so kind to him as long as he did what he was told. His eyes began to feel heavy, and slowly he drifted off to sleep.